In the stillness of early Thursday morning, while most Americans were sound asleep, a historic milestone unfolded along Florida's coastline. At precisely 2:03 a.m. Eastern Time, Blue Origin's towering 320-foot rocket, New Glenn, roared to life. 7 engines erupted with fiery intensity, transforming the dark skies over Cape Canaveral Space Force Station into a spectacle of light and power. Slowly, the rocket inched upward, then surged forward, carving a brilliant arc across the Atlantic, its trail painted in blue flames, the distinct signature of methane-fueled propulsion. A few minutes later, the rocket's second stage successfully reached orbit, but an ambitious first-stage booster recovery ended in heartbreak, plunging into the ocean. Today, we'll dive deeper into this mission, its achievements, and more. The countdown was moving smoothly until an unexpected snag occurred. A boat wandered into the restricted launch zone at T11 minutes. This forced a temporary hold, stretching the clock by an additional 25 minutes. When the countdown resumed, anticipation was palpable. At T20 seconds, the water deluge system roared to life, cooling the pad and suppressing flames. Moments later, the 7 BE-4 engines came to life in a carefully choreographed sequence. This staggered ignition reduced system strain, and the rocket leaped off the pad precisely at T0. Slowly at first, then with increasing speed, New Glenn cleared the launch tower. Mission Control confirmed stable chamber pressures, and live feeds captured all 7 engines firing flawlessly. At T+1 minute and 39 seconds, the rocket hit max Q, the critical phase of maximum aerodynamic pressure. Despite the immense stress, New Glenn powered through and continued its ascent. Shortly after, the BE-4 engines shut down as planned, marking main engine cutoff. Stage separation followed, with a brief but thrilling glimpse of the upper stage still connected before breaking away. The second stage then ignited its 2 BE-3 engines, accelerating toward orbit, while the first stage began its descent toward the landing site in the Atlantic. Although the live stream briefly froze, Mission Control confirmed a successful payload fairing separation shortly after stage separation. Data displayed on Blue Origin's live stream indicated the booster traveling at a staggering 4,400 miles per hour at an altitude of 67 miles. By T+4 minutes and 45 seconds, it had slowed to 4,100 miles per hour while climbing to 84 miles. Mission Control reported that both stages were on their planned trajectories. By T+6 minutes, the booster's descent data continued to stream in, showing its speed and altitude changes. At T+6 minutes and 17 seconds, Mission Control announced, confirmed GS-1 engine active. Less than 1 minute until exo-atmospheric engine ignition. They added body rates on GS-1 and GS-2 look good. As the re-entry burn approached, the first stage began to pick up speed while rapidly losing altitude, dropping below 300,000 feet. By T+7 minutes and 30 seconds, the booster was flying at nearly 5,000 miles per hour and had descended to below 200,000 feet. However, this is where the mission took a sudden and dramatic turn. The onboard video feed became unreliable, but telemetry data filled in the gaps. At T+7 minutes and 31 seconds, Mission Control announced, all 3 engines relight confirmed, and brief visuals showed the BE-4 engines firing up before the video froze again. The data indicated that the re-entry burn began as expected, by T+7 minutes and 48 seconds. The booster's velocity decreased sharply from over 5,000 miles per hour to 4,285 miles per hour. Its descent rate also slowed, suggesting the engines were active for approximately 10 seconds. This, however, marked the last clear moment of the booster's journey. According to the official mission timeline, the booster's re-entry burn was expected to last 28 seconds. This phase wasn't the landing burn, but rather an initial deceleration using 3 of the 7 BE-4 engines. Its purpose was to slow the booster in preparation for the final descent. However, based on the available footage and telemetry, it appears that something went wrong about 10 seconds into the burn. The booster's data suddenly froze on the live stream, and its position remained unchanged for the remainder of the broadcast. If the stage was indeed destroyed at this point, the resulting debris likely scattered across the ocean, well away from the intended landing platform. Shortly after, official confirmation came. The booster had not survived its descent. Blue Origin's CEO, Dave Limp, took to Twitter to celebrate the broader success of the mission. On to spring and trying again on the landing. His tweet included a different angle of the rocket's liftoff. The company also tweeted candidly about the booster's fate, stating, "We lost the booster during descent." As for why the landing attempt failed, it's clear that even Blue Origin might not yet have all the answers. Over the coming days, engineers will likely pore over every data point to identify what went wrong. There's also a chance that Blue Origin may release additional footage from onboard cameras or external perspectives to provide more clarity. Meanwhile, the upper stage, along with its Blue Ring Pathfinder payload, pressed on. T plus 12 minutes and 59 seconds. Mission Control confirmed the cutoff of its two BE-3U engines, signaling that the stage had reached orbit. A subsequent burn was scheduled for about an hour later to finalize its trajectory. However, shortly after the second engine was cut off, the live stream ended. Roughly an hour later, Blue Origin tweeted an update, confirming that both the upper stage and payload had successfully reached their target orbit. Despite the setback with the booster, the mission's primary goal, achieving orbit, was a success. From the outset, Blue Origin had framed the booster landing attempt as a bold and ambitious goal. In a pre-launch tweet, the company stated, "To reiterate our objectives, this is our first flight and we prepared rigorously for it. But no amount of ground testing or mission simulations is a replacement for flying this rocket. Our key objective today is to reach orbit safely. Anything beyond that is icing on the cake. We know landing the booster on our first try offshore in the Atlantic is ambitious, but we're going for it. No matter what happens, we'll learn, refine, and apply that knowledge to our next launch." Looking ahead, there's reason for optimism. No damage was reported to the landing infrastructure, and the mission provided a wealth of valuable data. As Blue Origin emphasized, nothing compares to the lessons learned from an actual flight. With these insights, the next booster stands a much better chance of completing its re-entry burn, transitioning into a landing burn, and making a successful touchdown. Now, predicting the next New Glenn launch date remains a challenge. What we do know is that production of the rocket's components is well underway. Last year, Blue Origin confirmed that 4 first-stage boosters were in development, and more recently, CEO Dave Limp announced the production of 7 to 8 second stages. Although the loss of the booster was a setback, it wasn't entirely unexpected for a maiden flight, as Blue Origin had acknowledged the risk from the outset. The earliest estimate for the next launch points to spring 2025. Originally, the New Glenn's debut mission was set to carry NASA's Mars Escapade mission. However, this plan was adjusted following a review of launch preparations and discussions with Blue Origin. Bradley Smith, director of NASA's Launch Services Office, stated, "The alignment of Earth and Mars constrains Escapade's launch opportunities. Small schedule adjustments can result in significant delays. We're working closely with Blue Origin to ensure the spacecraft is ready for this tight planetary window." While spring 2025 is the optimistic target, further delays are possible, depending on the results of ongoing tests, the pace of manufacturing, and the analysis of data from this first flight. If the issue that caused the booster's failure can be quickly identified and resolved, Blue Origin may be able to move forward sooner, something we'll likely learn more about in the coming months. After years of development and rigorous testing, New Glenn finally took to the skies. The mission achieved its primary goal, with the second stage and the Pathfinder payload successfully reaching orbit. While the booster's landing attempt didn't succeed, Blue Origin now has invaluable data to refine its systems for future launches. The next steps will reveal how the company leverages these insights to enhance its capabilities and influence the competitive landscape of the space industry. Interestingly, January 16th marked launches from both Blue Origin and SpaceX. While New Glenn's debut reached orbit, SpaceX's Starship faced an explosive setback. This side-by-side comparison fueled discussions about the two space giants, with Blue Origin's successful launch signaling its emergence as a serious contender. The achievement represents a pivotal moment for Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, countering critics who claim the company lagged behind Elon Musk's SpaceX. With New Glenn now in orbit, the rocket could secure lucrative contracts from NASA, the Department of Defense, and private companies. Its success positions it as a viable rival to SpaceX, potentially reshaping the dynamics of the global spaceflight industry. In a rare display of camaraderie, the two billionaires exchanged congratulations. "Congratulations on reaching orbit on the first attempt," Musk wrote on X, his social media platform. Bezos responded, "Thank you." This brief interaction highlighted the shared challenges and milestones faced by these competing visionaries. For Jeff Bezos, this achievement marks a step toward his long-term dream of millions living and working in space, developing lunar spacecraft, and constructing space stations. Before New Glenn, Blue Origin's focus had been on the smaller New Shepard rocket, which offered suborbital experiences for space tourists and research payloads. Even Bezos himself flew aboard a New Shepard mission in 2021. However, New Glenn, named after astronaut John Glenn, represents a leap in ambition and scale. The rocket, vastly larger and more powerful than its predecessor, is designed to carry payloads into orbit, a feat far more complex than New Shepard's suborbital missions. Thank you for tuning in.